We need to discuss a jaw-dropping leak that hit the internet this morning, and you can read from this video's title that the original Zombies crew of Nikolai, Richtofen, Takeo, and Dempsey will be returning to the Dark Aether storyline in 2025. Now, when I woke up and saw this news, I genuinely couldn't believe what I was seeing, so I'm going to dive into every single detail so you can understand exactly where this leak has come from, how genuine and trustworthy the source of this information is, and how this could affect Black Ops 6 Zombies and next year's Black Ops Zombies game when it comes to the storyline and the ramifications this could cause. But as I'm diving in and going through all of this, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you want to see this original crew return, then let me know by clicking the thumbs up button, as I'm going to use that to gauge how many people want to see this crew back. Now, this groundbreaking news comes from an industry insider called Tom Henderson, who runs the website Insider Gaming. He's one of the most trusted insiders in the video game industry, with a perfect track record of always being correct and never reporting unless having concrete evidence and sources. Now, anyone on the internet could create a leak like this, and there'd be zero proof. But when it comes to Tom Henderson, he would never report on any gaming leaks and news like this if he wasn't 100% confident that it was correct. It goes without saying, but still take this with a big grain of salt. Due to his accuracy in leaks in the past, it's very likely that there is definitely some truth behind this. Diving into the article, and we're going to be quoting straight from it, he starts by saying several sources have revealed that Call of Duty Zombies original crew might be making their return in Call of Duty 2025. The news comes from several sources who were invited to Call of Duty 2025 playtests and feedback sessions, where it was revealed that the original crew for Zombies are set to make their return. Now, about 2 weeks ago, there were Call of Duty 2025 feedback sessions that leaked, with imagery from a slideshow explaining details about the game's multiplayer and campaign. But in this report, Dempsey, Takeo, and Nikolai were all said to be featured as a part of the feedback sessions, with one eagle-eyed Zombies fan stating that the versions of the characters that were shown were not Ultimis, but instead were older versions of the Primis characters. According to the same sources, the Zombies storyline will evolve around a new enemy character who wants to absorb the dark Aether Essence of the original 4 characters and bring back the old multiverse. Now, from this one individual sharing this information with Insider Gaming, Tom Henderson himself was able to confirm all this information from several other sources. And those sources also originated from the same playtests and feedback sessions. So if multiple people from those sessions are confirming the same thing, then it seems likely that this info is correct. This goes even further, as one of the sources also said that the main Zombies map in next year's game will be Tranzit inspired, with some form of travel system to navigate around the map. And one source who was a part of such playtest also revealed that there was a plan to have 6 total Zombies maps throughout the life cycle of next year's Call of Duty, but whether or not the game's scope has changed is unclear. He ends it by saying it's worth stressing that these playtest events usually have some variation to the details. And by that, he means in one session, a group will be told that X is returning, and then in another feedback session with a completely separate group, they will say that Y is returning. That way, if anything leaks, they can pinpoint the origin of it based on the info only being told to one group instead of several groups. But on top of that, these playtests and feedback sessions are usually done way ahead of the game's release in order to gain valued feedback for the development. Tom Henderson says, however, from what he's been able to determine, this information has been at various different feedback events worldwide and has been present over the last 12 months or so from these feedback sessions, suggesting that the information is almost certainly accurate. But he does premise this by saying never say never. But it is crazy to be talking about next year's Call of Duty game when Black Ops 6 is not even a week old. But according to Insider Gaming, next year's Call of Duty is set to be a Black Ops 2 sequel, with the campaign following Harper and Mason as they try to save the world from a new villain following the death of Menendez. But that was such a monumental drop of information that we just gotta let it soak in for a moment. But the issue with this is that if this is indeed correct, which it seemingly is, then this news potentially puts a slight dampener on the Black Ops 6 Zombies story arc, as we sort of have an idea on where it could be leading, with the idea that these characters are going to return. But there is a huge fundamental problem with this leak, and it comes in the form of what's happened and been set up for the storyline in order for us to now be in the Dark Aether one, and that this crew of characters are dead. The only character that remains from this crew is Richtofen, who, along with Samantha, started a brand new life in the Dark Aether where they joined it when they were children. The other remaining characters of Nikolai, Takeo, and Dempsey, as well as the Primis and Ultimis versions of Richtofen, all sacrificed themselves so that they could end the multiverse, as the reason the cycle kept repeating is because of their existence and their links to the Aether. We went through a 10+ year journey with these characters to get to the resolution that we did, and as far as clear storytelling is concerned, that is a full story and character arc of all of those characters. They went through a journey which was absolutely incredible. We all love these characters, but at the end, they had had to die in order for the story to come to a conclusion. And if these characters were going to return in a way where it was a completely alternate universe, alternate storyline that wasn't Dark Aether or Aether, then I could maybe accept it. But the fact that we have a brand new storyline that is completely disconnected from those four characters, that it just feels extremely alien that they're now going to be back in a new storyline that follows their deaths in the old storyline. Now, by the details of this leak, it does sound like this could be a completely new version of the crew that are based off of Primis. So they're not Ultimis, they're not Primis, they're entirely new versions, which if they are, and somehow that can be explained in a story thread that makes sense, then I guess as long as the original legacy of those characters are retained, but we get a brand new generation version of them, then this might not be as big as a problem as I'm actually making it out. And if we look on the flip side, when we see characters like Richtofen returning in a full CGI cutscene for Black Ops 6, that immediately gets so many more people immediately more excited for this game and on board because they can relate with fan favorite characters like Richtofen. And there is no question that the Call of Duty Zombies identity is slightly tied to these characters. And that's not for me saying that COD Zombies can't be enjoyed with a different set crew of characters, because we've had many great experiences with different crews, but since these were the original crew that introduced so much of the original parts of COD Zombies, they are synonymous with the experience. And I know for a fact, regardless if you like the sound of this decision or are angered at the fact that these characters are returning when they've had such a perfect conclusion, the moment you see these characters returning next year, if true, you are going to be excited beyond belief, and it could bring an even greater resurgence of people to the Zombies mode than what we've already seen so far with Black Ops 6. But I can't help but point out some fundamental problems with this, especially with what we've experienced so far with Black Ops 6. We finally have a playable crew in Black Ops 6 Zombies, but we know from the Modern Warfare Zombies intro cutscene that these playable characters eventually die. So with that in mind, it just feels a little bit strange that we're going to have this crew that could almost be a temporary crew until we eventually get these old characters back. And it just doesn't feel like meaningful storytelling if that's the way they're going to do it. Now, if we look to Black Ops 6 and what we have storylines so far that could potentially explain how this could make sense, is we have Edward Richtofen and his Project Janus, which has been teased all throughout Black Ops 6 so far, which we still don't understand exactly what it is for. But looking at the definition of Janus, it is the god of beginnings and endings and the opens of gateways that could potentially take you to the beginning of the universe and the end of the universe. The popular community consensus right now is that this Project Janus is to bring back his wife and son, who we see is constantly tormenting his mind at the beginning of the Liberty Falls cutscene. And that would make a ton of sense. But potentially Project Janus might not be for that at all. And it could be to potentially return these old characters again. As for all we know, Richtofen might suddenly start having memories and moments from the old storyline leaking into his brain that he experienced as a different version of himself, and wants to stop at nothing to bring not only his son and wife back, but also his best friends that he could potentially slowly have memories of. Now, part of me still can't quite comprehend how story-wise this would make any sense. But with the ending of Terminus, we can clearly see that Treyarch are tapping in nostalgia by reintroducing the Chaos story as being canon to this new one. Now, the only other storyline idea in my head which could make this entire thing make some sort of sense is, again, with Richtofen trying to find the Sentinel artifact for Prima Materia. Prima Materia is the original material that makes up the universe, and gaining Prima Materia's knowledge will allow you to see a vision of an item or location of something in history, either in the past, present, or future. Combining that within the Dark Aether story, there is also an ancient monolith of unimaginable power that's existed since the dawn of time within the Dark Aether called the Construct. This was first introduced in Vanguard Zombies. Trust of the Construct by proving your worthiness. The Construct will dub you as the Archon, and the power from this monolith is able to grant you any wish that you could ever want. And if this is what Richtofen is chasing after at the end of Black Ops 6 Zombies, and gains the power of the Construct to become the Archon, it has the power to grant literally whatever you want, and he could bring back those characters, which as a result of bringing them back and their ties to that original Aether universe, this could be how an enemy character forms that wants to absorb their essence and bring back the old multiverse to try and be free from the Dark Aether so that they can reign over the entire universe of Aether. But there is still some other massive glaring problems with this if it's true, with the fact that not all of the original voice actors will return. We already have Nolan North returning as Richtofen in Black Ops 6, and you can already hear Fred Tatasquire voices Nikolai as other voices within the game, such as the pirate on Terminus. But the voice actor for Takeo, Tom Kane, suffered a stroke in the last few years, and because of it, he's fully retired from voice acting. So if all these original characters return, including Takeo, then they would have to find find a brand new voice actor. Now, we've seen multiple characters iconic to Black Ops recast over the years, but I think for something as special as this crew returning, you just can't have them return without all 4 of the original voice actors returning as well. It's hard not to get excited by this news if it indeed is true, because it is absolutely incredible, as it is something that we've all wanted for so many years, but it got to the point where we never thought it was going to happen. And as fans of this game and of this storyline, with Chaos coming back, which was incredible, but also slightly felt like it was returned for fan service, this really feels like a fan service decision. But in a completely different perspective, if you look at what happened with the end of the Aether story in Black Ops 4, the final chapter of these characters ended extremely quickly. And it was obvious that Treyarch had many more maps planned in between to fully tell this story properly and to give these characters the story arc that they deserved. That's not to say that they didn't get a good story arc in Black Ops 4, but for such an epic 10-year long story, it was so clear that there was more parts of the story that they needed to tell, but simply couldn't, so had to shrink it down into the 2 Aether maps that we got as DLC. But another thing is we also don't know for sure if this report even means that these characters are going to be a playable crew in next year's game, or if they're just going to be featured as characters that are going to return, that we're going to see either in cutscenes like with Richtofen, where he's not playable but he's a deep integral part of the storyline, and that we will still have a different playable crew of characters. The conclusion is that this leak is such an insane one for both being incredibly exciting if true, but at the same time from a story perspective, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's like experiencing one of the best TV shows you've ever watched, with a main character whose arc grows over so many seasons and ends in such a perfect way that is a completely perfect story arc that anything that comes after it would just ruin it. And then 5 to 6 years later, suddenly that character is somehow brought back from the dead. I think if this does end up being true, that Treyarch have to be incredibly careful with exactly how they do this, so that the ending of the original Aether story isn't ruined by this. Now, if they do return, that it all makes sense and the legacy of the original characters is retained. I'd love to know your thoughts down below about all of this, but the second that we hear any more news about this, I'll be covering it here on the channel, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. But we've got a multitude of Black Ops 6 Zombies videos still to come. If you want to see a video on 20 secret tips that everyone should know, then click this video on your screen right now.